Hey guys, Brad here. I just wanted to say hello, and I wanted to start off first with an apology for not posting a video last week. I expected to do a CES video I was going to do like a top 10. And when I went through all the articles again, and I went through a bunch of the presentations again after CES completed, I didn't find 10 things that really stood out to me. Like, it seemed to be a little bit of a dry spell for CES this year, but I think that was just me. I think I hyped myself up for specific things and they didn't happen, so oh well, what could I do? So I'm going to talk about a bunch of different things going on right now, but I wanted to do a top 3 because there were 3 things that did stand out at CES this year for me. I want to go one year. I haven't gone, but I should go one year. That'd be kind of cool. But let's start with, I'll start for number 3 and work my way down to number 1 versus like number 1 being the most excited I was and number 3 being, I don't want to say least excited because it was really cool, but it's something that I would have no practical use for. So number 3 is the Hyundai Elevate car. They showed off this car. If you didn't see it, I'll post a link up here. If they have a link on YouTube, you can watch it after this. They showed off a car called Elevate, and I guess it's the prototype name. And basically, it's a car that it's kind of this pod-looking car. It looks kind of futuristic, but the legs on the car can extend, so it can actually go upstairs and traverse terrain and stuff like that. They painted it as like a vehicle that can be used for like rescue missions where you have to like grab someone from difficult terrain or maybe helicopter access. You can't land a helicopter. Just stuff like that. So I found that kind of cool where it could actually climb rocky terrain, hills and mountains. That's kind of cool. They also showed off a picture of it like a taxi, I guess in like the city with a walk-up, and the taxi has positioned itself where the front legs are long and the back legs are short, and it's perfectly aligned with a walk-up stairwell, and there's a guy in a wheelchair like wheeling in. First of all, why would you be in a wheelchair living with a walk-up where there's no ramp? That's kind of odd. That walk-up should have a ramp. But, you know, I just found that picture funny. But the car itself is really cool. Like, I don't see that being useful to the average consumer, but in specific areas of the world, especially in specific situations, that could be really useful. So I can see it being used for like rescue missions and just stuff like that. I could see that being fantastic. Even like research missions where you have to go through specific terrain that's kind of like too rocky to drive and too far to walk, or it would be too exhausting to walk, I guess. But I found that really cool. So that's number 3. Number 2 was something I completely did not expect. And this came from the NVIDIA presentation at the beginning of the conference, just before the conference started. They did their presentation, and I found a lot of the presentation seemed to be, didn't they show this off last year, a lot of what they showed, or was it the year before? I don't remember. But the one thing that did strike me was the last 10 minutes or so of the presentation. I went through the whole thing, and right at the end when they announced that they would be testing all of the async monitors available on the market and certifying them for compatibility with G-Sync. So I found that very cool because G-Sync monitors, they're really cool. I have one, and it comes with a premium price tag, and that's not like everyone can afford that. Like the monitor I bought, the Acer Predator monitor I bought, when I bought it, after tax in Canada, it was just over $1,300. And now it's come down to, I believe, 750 Canadian. So it's probably 5 something US. So it's come down in price, but that's still pretty expensive compared to a lot of the FreeSync monitors out there. So it was kind of cool, and I did not expect them to do that. So it was kind of cool, and they even gave a list. If there's a list online, I'll post a link here if there's a video of it. But they gave like, I think there was like 20 monitors or something that qualified already. So that was kind of cool. It was cool that they did that. I guess it's their way of I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're still going to develop the G-Sync tech, but it's not selling as well as it was. I'm not really sure why they did it, but it was a good thing they did do it. And that came completely out of left field. Did not see that coming. So now FreeSync monitors are actually on the table if I don't want to spend more money on another G-Sync monitor. I do have an old Dell monitor off to the side right here, and this monitor is just coming up to 8 years, Yeah, just coming up to 8 years now I've had this monitor for, and I can't turn it off anymore. So when I turn my computer off, I leave the monitor on so it goes into sleep mode, because if I turn it off, it sometimes doesn't turn on. I have to try like 7, 8, 9 times to get it to turn back on. And when I do get it to turn back on, there's like 100 lines, vertical lines, green lines all through the monitor. And I just have to leave that on for about 45 minutes to an hour, and the green lines will all vanish. But if I ever turn the monitor off, it may not turn on again. So I am eventually going to have to buy a second new monitor. I need 2 monitors. I multitask a lot, especially when I'm gaming. So I have 2 monitors set up instead of 3. I was planning on 3 at one point, but they're too expensive. So I do have to change up this monitor. But hey, got my money's worth from this Dell monitor. I gotta give Dell credit for this. I got this 27-inch ultra sharp ages ago, and yeah, it stood up really well. It still works as long as I don't turn it off. But I digress. Let's move on to number 1. And number 1, I was expecting a different announcement, but I'm glad that they featured this, because it is the LG rollable TV. They featured this. It made a lot of press. A lot of tech YouTubers were covering it as well. It is a really cool TV. Like, wow. I know they've been prototyping it for a while now, but that TV looks amazing. If they have a video, I believe they do. They have a trailer of the TV. It's a really cool trailer. I'll post a link to it right up here, and you can watch that after the video. And I found it really cool because it literally is just in a box, and it literally rolls out of the box and then it rolls back down. You can have it roll all the way back down into the box, or you can have it roll down to a specific width, and then it will show like media controls. I guess you can play like music and stuff. So I found that kind of cool. It would be nice if it was more, you could have more customization with that roll, so that if you have some of those videos that are like very wide shot videos, so you can get rid of the black bars, that would be cool if you could adjust it to that as well. I'm pretty sure that would just be a software update if they wanted to do something like that. But that was my number 1 pick. Did not see that coming, in the sense of I knew they already were kind of showing it off, but I didn't expect it to A, be featured so heavily at CES, and B, it's coming to market this year. There's no word on the price. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm betting the TV is probably going to be 10 grand US. I'd be shocked if it was anywhere close to what current 4K TVs are. I believe on their website they're calling it the R9. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But they don't even have a product page up for it. They just have an image on their site, and I believe the image said R9. So that may be a temporary name. They may change the name in the future. Who knows? So with that done, yeah, CES just didn't seem to have a ton of stuff that I was really fascinated with watching and hearing about. I don't know why. Maybe it was just one of those years where there wasn't a tremendous amount to talk about. But there was a lot of smaller things there. They showed off medical equipment that showed like how you could put on this equipment around your legs that would, like a harness, that would actually, I guess it would help someone with like hip issues or leg issues, maybe it was to help people walk that can't walk, I don't know. But I saw a brief clip about that, so that was kind of cool. But other than that, there wasn't really that much that really stood out to me. There was a lot of little things, like I believe Belkin, I think it was Belkin, came out with a power bank. I use Anker power banks. I have a bunch of them actually. Actually, I have a small one right here, just a tiny little one. I've got a larger one in my bag. But yeah, like power banks fascinate me, hard drives fascinate me, but they don't typically make a lot of news at CES, even though I know they're featured there, but they don't typically make a lot of news. So yeah, it just didn't seem to be a lot of press that were covering. I don't know if they weren't covering everything, didn't have time to cover everything, I have no. But with that, yeah, let's move on. This weekend we had a tiny snowstorm come through Toronto. But it wasn't the snowstorm that was a big deal. The snowstorm was only about 5 centimeters, I guess. But it wasn't the storm that was the big deal. It was what came after. And that happened today. At the time I was recording this, we now have a cold front coming through. If you live in the northeast of the US, you're probably feeling it as well. We dropped to about, in Celsius, it's minus 22, and then wind chill would be even colder. But yeah, so now we're going into deep freeze mode for the next couple of days. But yeah, so I'm just trying to stay in, play video games, and don't go out for any reason. I ended up going out early Saturday morning to do my groceries, got all my groceries at like 8 in the morning, came home, and just got that all done. Packed all my groceries away at 8:30, and then went back to gaming and stayed in all weekend. So I wasn't going out. I love the cold weather. I love snow. But when you get to like minus 20s, minus 30s, that's where it starts becoming a bit of a pain. Anything less than that, not a big deal. If you're in the US, you do Fahrenheit. So when I'm talking minus 22, I'm talking Celsius. So that would be what? I don't know, 4 Fahrenheit or something like that. I could be wrong. But yeah, so then something that's been actually, okay. There are 2 games coming out in the next couple months. One is coming out a month from now, and that's Anthem. And they recently showed off a bunch of trailers and a live dev Twitch stream showing off their Javelin. And I was really excited. Like, the more they show off of that game, the more into it I'm getting. Like, oh, it's so cool. And that comes out in just under a month? Yeah, I think it's just under a month it comes out. What is it? It's the 20th, so it's just under a month. It'll be out on the 15th of February. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've already pre-ordered and I'm all ready to go. So I'll be able to play their beta, I guess. And if they don't limit it to the Origin VIP or whatever they call it. But I did order the PC version through Origin, so I should be able to get into the beta and play that. And that'll be really exciting. I'm looking so forward to it. This was a game that when I saw the earlier trailers for it, I wasn't too sure. And then when they showed more and more as the months progressed, I was like, okay, this is what, no offense, Bungie, this is what I expected Destiny to be more like. And I'm just curious how far they're going to go with this, how big the map is, all that stuff. I want to see like how layered the world is, how their quests are, how they're going to keep people engaged even at endgame. I think a lot of developers have got the hint that you can have a lot of story and everything leading up to endgame, but when you get to endgame, you have to have a lot more in order to keep people engaged. And you can't just do a lot for PvP. Like a lot of us, like I'm heavily a PvEer. So I do player versus environment. I tend not to PvP too much. So if you're going to do PvE, make sure there's a lot of content that's reusable, that could be changed and altered, and stories that could manifest and move, and something to keep things interesting. The Division 1 did that originally. They had some end game, but a lot of it was PvP. So they eventually patched and had a DLC come out that added a lot more for PvEers. So I just recently started on my gaming channel. I have a gaming channel as well. I had it for like 2 years. I've been starting up the story again on a new character, and I've been going through the story, and I've been going through the story at the time where all the DLC is now available too. So once I hit 30, everything will unlock and the world will just explode with the new content, because there's a lot of new stuff going on. There's incursions, all these new things. So that's going to be cool. And I remember when I first recorded The Division, I just recorded the missions, and that was all I did. I just wanted to play the game. I didn't want to go through all the story missions. I didn't want to go through all the story content when I was playing the game. So I did have a beta where I did 3 hours. But that leads me into the next game. So Anthem comes out next month, and then the Division 2 comes out in March 15th. And that's another game that I'm looking so forward to. I've already pre-ordered that on Uplay for the PC, and I'm all ready to go with that. So I'm really excited for that. I want to see, like, the game looks gorgeous. The first Division, even to this day, still looks gorgeous. But the Division 2 looks amazing. It's got just as much detail. I was a little worried initially when I saw the map of Washington, DC. I was worried that it wasn't as big as Division 1, Manhattan, but it turns out that it's 40% larger, I think they said, and they didn't show off any underground stuff. So I actually went to Washington, DC's Metro site. That's the name of their transit system. And I checked out their map, and they have a map of their subway system, and I guess train system as well. And they have an extensive amount of subway and trains. So I'm very curious if they're going to open that all up as either DLC, or maybe some of it will be open at core game and then more will be open DLC. So I'm very curious about that, and I'm also curious about all the changes they've made, like using crossbows and stuff like that. If you haven't seen the Division 2 trailer, I'll post a link right here. But yeah, it looks so cool, and I'm looking so forward to it. I just can't wait. So those are two games that in the next couple months I'm hardcore looking forward to playing. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting. But yeah, with that, that's about all I had to talk about for the last couple of weeks. I've been working a lot, and the weather has been kind of crazy. It's been a little milder, and then really chilly, and then milder and chilly. But this is the first time we got some snow, and that's pretty cool. I expected it to be a bigger snowstorm, but oh well. Maybe that's the Canadian in me. I wanted a huge snowstorm. Okay, and with that, I'm pretty much done. That's all I really had to talk about for this week, this couple of weeks actually. I'm just enjoying the weather, even though it's freezing cold outside. I know I have to go to work in this cold weather, so we'll see what happens there. I'm hoping it'll warm up a little bit. But there's more snow to come, and I love snow. I'm a city boy, and I live in the city, but I love when we get heavy snowfalls, because if you do live in a big city, you'll know what I'm talking about, where there's always that constant hum or the noise of a city. You tend to block it out as white noise, and I tend to do that too, because I've lived in the city my whole life. And now that I used to live in the north part of Toronto, now I live in the downtown core. So I love seeing tons of snow. It's like 15, 20, 30 centimeters. I love when that much snow falls, because then you get that unusual quiet in the downtown core of a city, where everything is just, the hum of traffic is gone. And when you go outside and you go for a walk, even if you're walking through the snow, if you stop and listen, it's a quietness you're not quite accustomed to being in the city. So yeah, I really like that. I just hope we get more snow, because sometimes it misses us. Sometimes we'll get a lot of snow every other week, and then some years we'll get very little snow. It just seems to be random for us. I guess it's our placement around the Great Lakes. We seem to be in this little shelter where we tend to miss a lot of the snow. But yeah, with that, I'm pretty much done for the next 2 weeks. Hopefully I'll be posting videos every Sunday from now on. Don't hold me to that. I may miss every so often, but it'll be a lot of game talk and gadget talk and geeky stuff. Like, that's just stuff I love to talk about. And I don't really, my friends aren't really tech geeks, most of my friends, so I don't really have them to talk about the stuff. So I figured I'd just, you guys, talk to a camera. Why not? But with that, I'm done. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet, and hit the little bell beside it if you want to be notified the next time I post a video. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you very much for hanging in there to the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell button so you know when I post the next video. And don't forget to comment and let me know what you thought of the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.